Hey guys, it's your boy, the Rican Nerd, the original gamer. I'm here today to talk about a little bit of Middle-earth Shadow War. I'm still going to be putting out the gameplay videos, but I just wanted to do a quick vlog review of the game, what works, what doesn't work, and some of my impressions. I know that a lot of you guys have heard some controversy about the game. I'm going to tell you guys it's not as bad as some people say. Yes, I do believe it is wrong for them to have a premium currency, which they use as gold, that you can only buy. You can earn bits and pieces of it throughout the story, but you can tell it's a premium currency like crystals and other forms of premium currency. The normal in-game currency Miriam can only normally be obtained by killing specially marked orcs throughout the world. And you could get some by killing certain captains that are marked to have Miriam. You can get it by breaking down weapons. You can only use Miriam for upgrading your weapons. And I mean, at the point in the game where I'm at, I have over 20,000 Miriam and almost nothing to spend it on. You could get smaller loot boxes, I believe, with some Miriam, but it's not really worth it. The bulk of the microtransactions has to do with the premium currency, which is gold. Let's get it out of the way first. You do not need to buy gold to play this game. It is not a pay to win game by any means. I've hit the point in the story where it is a grind, and it is. But with Middle-earth Shadow War, that is the major attraction of the game, is the fact that it's a grind. All you're doing is killing orcs left and right, leveling up, killing orcs left and right. With that being said, yes, it's true that the loot boxes can be a shortcut to do that. But if you spend $20 to get in-game currency and you're level 20, by the time you're level 25, it's going to become completely pointless. Now that we have that out of the way, I want to talk about the actual gameplay. What works, what doesn't work, what has improved from the first game and what hasn't. Now, the first part of the gameplay that I want to get to is the combat. It is improved from the first game, but it has all the tropes of sequelitis. They found a way to make your character weaker than what he was maxed out in the last game. You can see the normal tropes from a lot of games that have continuations. They did make your character weaker. However, like I said, the combat is improved in some areas, and in some areas it has weakened. I've noticed that a lot of moves have frost included in them. So when you get to parts where you automatically frost an enemy, like when you shoot him, when you're trying to pin him, there's enemies that are feared of pin, but they're frost proof. So then it all goes out the window. So like I said, some of the mechanics have improved, but some of them have faltered. The climbing mechanics, for instance, have improved, but you can tell because the maps are more expansive than the first maps, there's just not enough things in the map to upkeep your momentum, and most of the traversal you'll make just running, running, and running, and running. So that does get very tedious after a point. Now, of course, at one point you will get Caragors. You can summon dragons in late game. With the dragons, you can shadow mount them, but it costs you 2 arrows. So I haven't found a workaround. So if anybody knows a workaround, please let me know. But they never land next to you, so you can't just jump on them unless you gotta find some higher ground and jump over them and then land on them. That's a possibility, but even then, if you're in a wide open expanse where there's no buildings, then that becomes detrimental. But definitely with a dragon, you will traverse from one point of the map to the next, from the beginning of the map to the end of the map in seconds flat. In less than a minute, you can traverse most of the map. There are things that you can use. You can summon Caragors, you can summon Grogs. I would suggest the Caragor more. It's faster. You can do stealth on it. You can do stealth kills. You can jump off of it and stealth kill or stealth brand your enemies. So it is a versatile, for lack of a better word, vehicle than the dragon, which will instantly get attacked, and the grog that is gigantic and will also instantly get attacked. Though the grog is a lot better when traversing large environments, it could jump over buildings and over gaps real easily. It really depends on your playstyle, but don't forget, you can always, once you unlock it, you can summon beasts by hitting the left button on the D-pad. Now, the third part of the gameplay that I want to talk about is the collectibles. You got the Shelob memory shards and the Ethildon. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. Ethildon door pieces, and then the poems. I consider that gameplay because it's adding to the gameplay. It can get very grindy to just have to go and locate them over and over and over and over again. What I suggest you do is you collect them as you unlock them through the, basically, for lack of a better word, towers. Now, another thing that I do want to talk about is the story. The story is much, much improved from the first game. If any of the fans of the first game are around, they'll tell you that it was a great game. But nobody can defend the fact that that was an award-winning story, because it wasn't. It was very short. It was simple. It was cliche. You know, spoiler alert. Your family gets killed. You yourself get killed. You get banished by death. So you're going out and you're getting revenge. And that's the point of the first game. It's really the point of the second game also. But in here, you're taking your time to build your armies in this one, and you'll have twists and turns along the way. You'll see cameos from other characters. There's even orcs that wears the armor of the tower from the first game, and he gave himself the nickname the Tower, and he's wearing the pieces of armor. And I haven't run across him, but I've seen other guys who have, like Angry Joe. And all these orcs, I mean, they're randomly generated, so unless you go around killing orcs over and over again just to find them, the chances will lower that you will find them. Like with me, I knew after, as you guys saw in the video, after I killed that orc captain that I was trying to, take over his mind, I noticed that was part of the story, and you guys will see that in the video. If you guys saw my video, I stopped until I got to the point where I can dominate orcs, and that's what I do. I mean, I can be surrounded by 10, 15 guys, and I'll find a way to dominate each one of the captains that attacks me. I've been attacked by 2, 3 captains at a time, and I'll take my time until I can dominate them. That's not to say that I've never killed captains after I learned the dominate skill, because, for instance, you got traitors, as well as you got guys that are just too specific, or I didn't have the right skill to dominate him. There's also ones that get enraged by mortal wounds, so if they're about to die, they get enraged, so then you can't dominate them. So there are certain ones that you just can't, but for the most part, I try to dominate as many captains as possible. Now, another part of the game that I do want to talk about, other than the gameplay and the story, is the character development. Talion is a pretty boring protagonist, but he is bolstered by a plethora of other main characters and side characters, including orcs. Many, many orcs, including Bruise and Ratbag, and there's a couple other orcs. I forget the names. There's so many, and their names are orc names, so they're very hard to remember. Many of the random orcs that you find can be hilarious to interact with, and many of them just grate you. I remember I was fighting Tars, and I just kept killing him and killing him and killing him, and he just kept coming back. I mean, it was to the point where I even had a video where I jumped the guy because I was just tired of him existing. And he would keep coming back, and he would be coming back, keep coming back. And I finally just said, you know what, I'll just dominate him, and I dominated him, added him to my ranks. I could have banished him, but I'm pretty sure that he would have returned somehow. So I didn't even worry about banishing him. I just kept him there, and I kept him out to the wayside, and I basically forgot about him. There was one that was trying to release Kargorov, which many people know it as the Balrog, and he was a tough SOB. I finally got him, but he was tough. I will be showing the first mission where you lose the city eventually in the beginning of Act 1, and that leads you to Act 2. So I'll be showing that, but I'll try to keep the spoilers to a minimum because I want everybody to enjoy the game. Like I said, Middle Earth does get to a point where it basically hits a brick wall, and I understand that they did that for the microtransaction part, and that is part of the controversy. I don't want people to get confused, and it's just the fact that it has microtransactions is the fact that the end game, and the true ending was blocked off by a wall of progression. It was almost a MMO type wall of progression where you just have to kill 1,000,000 orcs to level up, I mean, that was ridiculous. I completely understand the controversy, and it should have been handled better. Hopefully in patches they'll be able to fix it where you can level up a lot faster in the end game, or maybe the damage is done. But we've seen tons of things happen, like No Man's Sky has completely changed. Many people won't return to No Man's Sky, but that doesn't mean that the developer didn't bust his hump to change it. Not excusing what he originally did, but at least he did try to fix it. With that saying, the scoring system on the Rican Nerd will be point-based. I will eventually start breaking down each category, like gameplay, story, characters. In terms of bugs, I found very few bugs, if any. There was one bug that I cut out of the video, which I should have left in the video, where I went to dominate an orc, just a random orc, and the domination just wasn't complete. The bar filled up, and we just stayed there locked in the animation. I had to let go of the button and start dominating him again for it to take. So minor bugs, nothing major game breaking like one of my favorite franchises, Assassin's Creed. We've all seen the flying boat, spinning up in the air like a top. Nothing like that I've experienced. I don't know about other people, but I haven't experienced anything that bad. So it is a pretty solid game, graphics wise. You guys see the footage. It's a solid game, gameplay wise. The story isn't the best one, but it does play good with some of the narrative. It does make it to the point where it can be canon. It did play fast and loose with some of the lore, but it didn't break the lore, in my opinion. Read the books, I've seen the movies. I even know the Sumerians, for some of you guys that know that. So even that stuff, I didn't feel like it completely broke it. With that being said, out of 10, the story, the weakest part, I'd say a 5, maybe a 6. It was your typical, I want to build an army to kill you, basically a West Side Story type, I thought that they would include the humans in your army, and you could see like your human followers that weren't dominated, maybe a human captain or two. That would have been cool. So I give that a 6. Now going on to the gameplay, one of the strongest features, I say a 9, even a 9.5, but we'll give it a 9. Like I said, some of the free running was just too trudgy and too slow, but otherwise, great gameplay, combat, everything was phenomenal. And then the third bracket, characters. Like I said, Talon is a weak main protagonist, but at the same time, I'm happy that they changed him. They didn't change the voice actor, but he was accompanied by a host of highly talented co-stars. So they did bump it up to 7, 7.5 in terms of characters. And there's a couple more criteria in there that I'm not gonna really get into depth with. Lack of bugs, of course, bumps up the score. Diversity of orcs also bumps up the score. There are OMG moments where you you craft your own story within the story of your nemesis, and you just, I mean, you go at each other like crazy. That also gets added to the story. So today, I'm going to give Middle Earth an 8.5 out of 10. I know that's going to upset some guys. I know some guys have been giving it 7s, 6s, even 5s, just because of the microtransaction. Here at the Rican Nerd, we don't like being trudged down by one negative, and we don't want to focus on that. I did want to tell you guys about it so that you guys are aware of what's going on, and my feelings of what's actually going on behind scenes. The trend does need to stop. We don't need that in single player games. However, we fight with our wallets. That's not to say that the developer didn't do a great job. If the publisher did something to add negativity to the game, the developer should not be penalized for that. Don't boycott the game. Just don't deal with the microtransactions at all. All they are is a shortcut to not enjoy the game as much, because the only thing you're really getting out of the loot boxes are weapons, armor, orcs, and war orders. Meaning, with war orders, I mean, you can get a captain and make him a Karagor riding captain if you have that proper war order, or you could give him more armor or better weapon or flame weapon or frost weapon or curse weapon. Those are war orders. It makes your orc a little more buff, but again, it's not game breaking. It's not pay to win. Once you level up, I mean, the only way that it would be a disadvantage to other players that didn't pay is if you wait until you're maxed out and then you, I mean, buy a whole bunch of loot chests. And then at that point, you're just basically shortcutting seeing the true ending, which, I mean, you're not getting a better trophy than I did for that. So like I said, I'm going to keep it at 8.5 because the developer didn't choose to have this in the game. I hope you guys enjoyed my take on Middle Earth Shadow War. I'll be dropping more gameplay. I just wanted to get this review out. I'm going to start on Assassin's Creed once I pick that up tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed the Rican Nerds take on Middle Earth Shadow War. Let me know what other games you guys want to see down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.